That baby is gross.
So, sorry, can you do that again? You just say, I was just thinking, babies are really gross, aren't they?
Okay. I was just thinking, babies are really gross, aren't they?
Funny you should mention that. When I was born, sorry, that's phoned me. When I was born, the first time my father took me in his arms, I took a massive shit all over him, and it went through his arms, into his shirt and down into his nice new jeans. So we didn't get off to a great start, probably explains our history.
I have two stories, both of which involve poo and vomit, respectively. Now, when I was about, I'm going to say like 6 years old, because I was wearing a Superman outfit for the day, my parents had gone out for the night for some reason. I think it might be my mum's birthday or something, and my auntie and her daughter, my cousin, were looking after me for the night. And now, you should know, I really, really, to this day, resent pooing as a bodily function. Hate it. Can't talk about it. And when I was little, I didn't want to do it so badly that I just outwardly refused to. So much so that I usually had to go to the doctors with it. So this particular night, I didn't want to poo, but I was desperate and I knew I had to. And it basically culminated in me shitting myself. And my auntie, with the great maternal instincts that she had, pretty much just said, "Oh, you've shit yourself. Oh dear," and put me to bed. And I don't remember this bit happening because I was 6 and asleep and covered in shit, but the next morning I woke up and discovered that what had happened was my mum had arrived home early in the morning, say at 2 or 3 or whatever, and had bypassed the bathroom and had instead chosen to vomit all over me.
When I was younger, we used to go to the south of France every summer, and I used to get a bit of a funny tummy, and my parents would give me those treble sweets that come in flour or something, and the irony was that one day we were in the car because we drove to France and then got the ferry, and we were in the car, and I'd eaten the whole tin of treble sweets, and we pulled up at the petrol station because I was like, "Mummy, I'm going to be sick." So we pulled up, and as soon as I opened the car door, I threw up all over the floor. By this point, my brother, who was sat next to me, started to panic and tapped me on the shoulder to make sure I was okay. This made me jump, so I turned around and threw up all over him. My mum and dad panicked, so they ran inside to the petrol station. I don't know what they were looking for. Then my brother ran out of the car, crying because I'd just been sick on him. And during that time, I was sick a further 6 times, all over the car. And then I remember my mum and dad kind of picking me up by the limbs that weren't covered in sick. And next thing I knew, I was in France.
When I was younger, they used to sell these things called Panda Pops. I don't know if you remember them. But they had a bubblegum flavour, which was like electric blue in colour. And our school was taking a trip to London to see the Millennium Dome, which is a 5-hour trip from Preston. And I decided to basically down 2 of these fizzy Panda Pops before I got the coach. Now, needless to say, that sort of upset my stomach a bit. I just thought it was a bit gassy, so I stood up to go to the loo, and the bus jolted, and all of a sudden this just river of electric blue vomit shot down the centre of the coach. And that stayed on the bus until we reached London 4 hours later. But for some reason they don't sell them anymore.
I was about 7 or 8 when we were coming back from a 2-week holiday in Newquay. Now, Newquay to Preston is a really long car journey, and that morning my eyes were a bit bigger than my belly, and I'd had a really big full English breakfast. Then after that, I'd had 2 bottles of cherry cola and a lot of dairy milk chocolate. Now, on this car journey back, I decided to lie down because I started to feel a bit sick. Now that was my first mistake because it was really bumpy, and I suddenly shot up over a speed bump and proceeded to vomit down the back of the driver's seat in the car, which was being driven by my mum. Now, her head turned around as soon as she stopped to see if I was okay, but also my auntie's head turned around from the passenger seat, looked at my sick, covered body, turned to my mum and said, "That's a mother's job."
My story's not about vomit or poo, but I never liked to go to bed at night. I didn't like, because I thought there was monsters in my cupboard and they were going to come out and eat my toes, and I wanted my mum's attention. So the strategies I went for was I would repeatedly punch myself in my nose, because I suffered with really bad nosebleeds anyway, so I thought I'd repeatedly punch myself in the nose to have a nosebleed, or I'd stick my fingers down my throat and force myself to be sick so I could go downstairs and watch another episode of Heartbeat.
Anyway, when I was 9, I'd gone to a wildlife park in Scotland to visit my family, and we were looking at the animals and like the locals having a giggle, and then it got to lunchtime, so we went into the restaurant at the wildlife park, and it was so crowded the only place we could actually sit was right squish into a corner because it was the only available table. So me being the smallest, the baby of the family, I was squished into the corner of that table as well. So I had no way of getting out quickly. But then I sat down with my pot of Scotch broth and started to enjoy it, you know. But then I got that onslaught sick feeling you get, you know, when you're just about to chunder. So I put my head down because there was nowhere else for me to go. I just was sick all down myself, all over my shoes. And then by this time, someone had moved out of the way from me so I could run out. And from my table to the door, everything, I mean, several portions of other customers' fish and chips, the cafe owner, the till, which was open and full of money, it was a lunchtime rush, everything got covered in vomit. And I just remember sitting in the back of the car in my uncle's jogging t-shirt, a pair of my mum's socks and several scarves.
Okay.